Rise up, Atlanta. Welcome to the very first episode of Dirty Bird Talk. I'm your host, Harrison Gresham, also known as Goofy Man, also known as ATL Harry. You can call me whatever. All I know is rise up and go Falcons. So before we get started, I kind of want to introduce myself. My name is Harrison. I'm 25 years old. I was born and raised in Augusta, Georgia. I currently live in Atlanta, of course. I graduated from Kennesaw State University with my bachelor's degree in sport management. And I just love the Falcons, so I wanted to start this podcast and give a voice to you, the diehard Atlanta Falcons fans, or if you're just a sports fan, the diehard sports fan. I have a lot of segments on the show today that are going to be recurring and going to happen every single episode that is directly designed for your input. So I'm always looking for your comments, your questions, concerns, debates, all of it. So don't worry, I listened, I took notes. You will be mentioned if you dropped a comment on the previous game or the game coming up. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Before we can move forward, we kind of have to take a step back and look at the Falcons-Vikings Sunday night football game this past Sunday on September 14th. Now, I had the absolute pleasure of being in attendance for this masterpiece. Now, I will say I was a little worried for about 3.5 quarters there. Heck, even when it was 22-6 and the Vikings had the ball, I was a little bit worried. I think every Falcons fan knows the game isn't over until you see those 3 zeros on the clock. But let's go ahead and give a little rundown of the game. Basic stats by the numbers. Falcons outgained the Minnesota Vikings, rushing-wise, 218-78. That's what stands out to me the most. Now, obviously, they did struggle to run the ball against the Buccaneers in week 1, and a lot of us were left questioning, is this how it's going to be for the rest of the season? Bijan couldn't get anything going. Algier couldn't get anything going. I mean, Michael Penix was essentially your top dog when it came to running the ball in week 1. So obviously that script flipped completely in week 2. Falcons 19 first downs, Minnesota 10. Third down efficiency is something that also kind of needs to be worked on. Falcons and Vikings were pretty similar in that category. Falcons were 6 of 15, Vikings 4 of 11. Only 135 passing yards, which that would be a crazy cause for concern if Bijan and Tyler Algier weren't, the greatest 2 running backs we've ever seen in our entire lives. 218 on the ground compared to the Vikings, 78 yards on the ground. And then, of course, J.J. McCarthy, 158 passing yards. But the biggest difference, 2 categories, sacks, time of possession. The Falcons, 36 minutes and 32 seconds time of possession compared to the Minnesota Vikings, 23 minutes and 28 seconds. Are you freaking kidding me? How often have we seen a Falcons team just absolutely dominate in time of possession? I got to think about that because it's been a very long time. That was a very refreshing and just spectacle, fantastic thing to watch out there. It's just get your offense on the field, drive down, score. However, there were 5 scores that resulted in field goals. That's another issue that we'll address, but fantastic performance. 6 sacks from the defense. 6 sacks. Are you freaking kidding me? It seems like every single year since 2018, we get halfway through the season and we have 6 sacks. So, wow, that was fantastic. That was absolutely fantastic. And first of all, props to the Minnesota Vikings fans, stadium, just everyone involved. I had a fantastic time. When I tell you I've never been in a louder environment than US Bank Stadium this past Sunday night, I was blown away. I was blown away to the point where I'm jealous. I envy that. NFL football in the North is where it's at. So don't hate me, but yes, the South is a college football town. I do love college football, but NFL, man, will always be my number 1. So it's a little sad and painful to not feel that same energy at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I really wish that, the diehard Falcons fans like you, like me, can just grow that audience of diehard NFL Atlanta Falcons fans, because I want that in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. There's no reason we can't have that in our home building. But man, it was some deafening noise. Let's just say that. I mean, obviously we saw that on the first drive. Michael Penix, they had to call timeout, and then right after the timeout, they take a delay a game. I mean, maybe I'm getting that switched, but the timeout and delay a game essentially killed what could have been an opening touchdown drive. But let's get into some numbers. Obviously, like I mentioned, Bijan Robinson, oh my goodness, 22 rushes, 143 yards, 6.5 yards per carry. Freaking animal out there. Freaking animal. And then, of course, his buddy, Tyler Algier, 16 rushes, 76 yards, 4.8 yards per carry. Whew, that's something we haven't seen from those two running backs, or any two running backs, in a long time. Both guys averaging over 4.5 yards per carry, with getting at least 15 rushes each. Wow. And then, Michael Penix didn't do anything crazy, didn't turn it over, 13 of 21, 135 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. And my favorite stat of the night, 1 rush, -1 yards, because we all know what that means. Hold on. Victory formation to, do the symbol of the famous Jameis Winston. But on the other side, Vikings, 9 rushes, 30 yards for Jordan Mason, 3.3 yards per carry. Aaron Jones only touched the ball 5 times out of the backfield for 23 yards. He did have 4.6 yards per carry, but obviously we do know that he was battling an injury and he's going to be missing some time as he just went on IR. But J.J. McCarthy, man, you talk about having a quarterback rattled. Falcons were on him all night long. 11 of 21, 158 yards, 2 interceptions from our 2 rookies, Billy Bowman and Xavier Watts. Absolutely fantastic performance. I think the most surprising stat of the night, though, Justin Jefferson, 3 catches, 81 yards, and that 3rd catch, it came with 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the 4th quarter on that last drive before the Xavier Watts interception. So anytime you can hold Jay Jettas to 3 catches for 81 yards and only had 2 catches for essentially almost the entire game, massive W, absolute cinema. Masterful defensive performance. Obviously, this is something we didn't see under Jimmy Lake, the previous DC. It was awesome. We brought in Jeff Ulbrich. A lot of people were kind of on the fence because, why are we moving back? Bringing in Raheem Morris, who was with the team, bringing in Jeff Ulbrich, who was with the team, years past. But, after that Minnesota game, I'm feeling good. And we can only take it game by game at this point, but I do feel good. So let's take a deeper dive into the defense before we, move on to some fan engagement and some questions and comments directly from you guys. 17 players with at least 2 total tackles or more, 6 team sacks, and then the rookies, man. How about the freaking rookies? Billy Bowman, 4 total tackles and interception. Xavier Watts, 2 total tackles and interception. Jalen Walker, 2 total tackles and a sack. And James Pierce Jr., 2 total tackles and half of a sack. And then I kind of did a subcategory of our borderline rookies, Brandon Dorlus and Ruke Orhorhoro, since, they're close to being rookies, just technically obviously not labeled as rookies because they're past their first year. But Brandon Dorlus, 3 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, and a tackle for loss. And Ruke Orhorhoro, 1 tackle and half a sack. I mean, geez Louise, you could easily say the game ball and the player of the game goes to the defense. However, we are forgetting about the literal player of the game, the newcomer, the star of the show, Mr. Perfect himself Sunday night, John Parker Romo, 5 for 5, including a 54-yard field goal that came in the 4th quarter to put the Atlanta Falcons up by 2 scores. I mean, you couldn't script it any better. I think I sent a text in one of my group chats when they announced the coup benching and then the signing of John Parker Romo. I said, get ready for a John Parker Romo game-winning field goal against his former team. And while there wasn't a game-winning field goal, he stepped up big. Coop's been struggling the past couple of seasons. He's definitely not the same guy that he was a couple of years ago, which it does pain me to see. It does make me sad. However, I really do hope we got a good one in John Parker Romo. I think he's here for at least the rest of this season, and there's going to be times where he needs to make a clutch kick, and just based off of what I saw Sunday night, I trust him. I'm not going to lie. I do trust him. But let's get into our very first segment, probably my favorite one, the most exciting one, mail time. We're going to go to the mailbag, aka my Atlanta Falcons souvenir cup, and we are going to read off your responses that you submitted directly to me via TikTok, which probably will be the easiest way to get in contact and reach me. But let's go ahead and get right into it. I asked a couple of questions to you guys. I said, what impressed you the most with the Falcons' 22-6 road win? What do the Falcons need to improve on? And which player stood out to you the most? You guys answered. Let's go ahead and dive into that. At the end of this, I'll give my responses on those questions. But Chris Sammy Sams from TikTok, answering that first question, what impressed you the most with the Falcons' road win? He said, first, the defense did not give up a touchdown, which I think that you could end it right there. Defense didn't give up a touchdown? Are you kidding me? We're talking about the Atlanta Falcons defense here. Didn't give up a touchdown. That right there in itself is A+, 100% top tier. Hinton response to what impressed him the most. The pass rush impressed me the most, but not just from the edge. The interior was disruptive and terrifying. And they were. That whole D-line was fantastic. Like I mentioned, Rook and Brandon Dorlus, and then, of course, you had Animata making an impact as well. It was fantastic all around. I don't think you could really pinpoint any sort of weakness. Of course, the A.J. Terrell injury did freaking suck, and then the blown coverage at the end of the half that allowed the Vikings to get a field goal with Jay Jettas running across the middle of the field, but phenomenal defense. So, yeah, not giving up a touchdown, impressive, and then the D-line interior, disruptive, terrifying, 100%. What do the Falcons need to improve on? Chris Sammy Sams said, we need to improve on scoring in the red zone. We cannot go backwards. Let's use Pitts like we used Tony G down there. I like that. I like that a lot. And people just look at what Pitts has done the past couple of seasons and say, this guy, he can't get it done. Pitts is healthy, man. I don't know if you've been watching this season. He looks good. He's healthy. He's running pretty good routes for the most part, and he's not limping. I know he's questionable for Sunday. I'm talking high on him, but he is questionable for Sunday. But, I mean, he's good. He's good to go. And I think 100% we need to target Pitts in the red zone more. You look at what Matt Ryan did with them in Pitts' rookie year back in 2021. Obviously, you can look at we only had one touchdown. Nobody cares. The dude put up 1,000 yards as a rookie. He can do it. And I think that's really the last time that we saw him fully healthy. And he looks great. I'm not going to lie. So I agree with this 100%. Let's get him more targets in the red zone. But obviously, the whole going backwards, I think that really only happened on the first drive with the delay of game penalty and the timeout. It was loud in there. I'll give him a pass on that, but we got to get those play calls in faster, man. And obviously, you can't just keep kicking field goals in the red zone. It was 38, 29, 33, 33 were the length of the field goals that John Parker Romo kicked. So you got to turn those field goals into touchdowns. And that's something that I'll touch on a little bit later with Zach Robinson and his play calling directly. But Hinton's response, what do the Falcons need to improve on? They need to improve on pass blocking when faced with stunts. Just that communication and chemistry. And I agree. I mean, the Vikings did hit home, get 3 sacks on Michael Penix on Sunday night. It wasn't anything that was a true killer. It killed some potential drives, but I do feel like a lot of those sacks and pressures came when it was already like 3rd and long, not necessarily when it was like 3rd and 2 or 2nd and 2. But I mean, yeah, I agree. I think the offensive line as a whole did a really good job up front, but definitely got to focus on that pass blocking. It doesn't help when you're starting a backup left guard at right tackle, meaning he's essentially your 3rd string right tackle. But Elijah Wilkinson, he's a guy. He's a baller. He's going to do his job. He's going to do it to the best of his ability. So we just have to keep hoping that, Penix's blind side is protected and we can just hold down the fort. Run blocking, no issue. No issue whatsoever. Let's keep that rolling into Carolina because I'll talk about that in the look ahead to Carolina, but their defense is not great. Let's just say that. Last question. Which player stood out to you the most? Chris Sammy Sam said Michael Penix Jr. His poise of controlling the game and not forcing anything. Oh, and Romo, LOL. Obviously. But I like that take. Michael Penix Jr., I mean, that's really all you can ask for. And this type of game, on the road, Sunday Night Football, he's been on prime time before, but, he held down the fort. He did. He didn't turn it over. He didn't fumble. He didn't do anything to cause the Falcons to lose the game. So, A-plus effort from Penix. And I can't really put too much of the blame on him because of his stats. Zach Robinson just doesn't call plays to let Penix throw the ball down the field. And I won't go on a rant just yet, but obviously, John Parker Robo, great pick. Hinton's response. Which player stood out to you the most? Pierce Jr. from the defense and Newsel from the offense. Those guys are outperforming expectations, even when you can't see the tangible results on the stat sheet. Excellent analysis. Excellent breakdown. Ryan Newsel, I'm not going to lie, I very much questioned him because how can you not? When you have such a good run game from a year ago with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, and then you lose the number one center in all of football, certainly a top 5 center in all of football, it's easy to sit back and question, how is this guy going to do? But at least this past week, pretty freaking good. And then obviously James Pierce Jr., man. I love the rotating in and out of pass rushers. Oh my goodness. Ebiketie and Floyd, Walker and Pierce. I mean, however you want to mix and match it. Those guys are coming in, and they're coming in hard. I ain't even going to say pause. That is just some great defense. And I mean, it's very refreshing to see, I will say. It is very refreshing. Did forget one response. This is from Jake from TikTok. He said that the biggest improvement has to come in the offensive game plan and play calling. So kind of something I did touch on, and I do agree 100%. Zach Robinson really has to sit down and be able to adjust. More so those halftime adjustments. I mean, shoot, we were in week 1, and Zach Robinson was saying, he's emptying the playbook. He's trying to mix and match and do this. Dude, how have you not already had a set game plan and adjustments made at halftime? He's scrambling, and we saw that with the essential scramble drill offensive plays at the end of that Tampa Bay game. But Jake on what do the Falcons need to improve on. It's far too easy to know what we're going to do based on our personnel packages and formations. Zach Robinson, has to do more to catch defenses off guard. I do agree 100%. There was a play in the, I believe, third quarter, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong on that, but it was 4th and 1. We were driving, I think on Minnesota's maybe 35, 40-yard line. We took out Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, and Drake, KP, Robinson, and who was the 4th? Essentially, we took out our star playmakers and put in, the extra beef plus Tyler Algier. So it's like everyone in the world knows we're handing this ball to Tyler Algier. Of course, he runs it up the middle, first down. When you can tell the opponent we're doing this and then go execute it, you get a heck yeah from me, man. Like, ground and pound, shove it down their throats up the middle. You know what I'm saying? Get that first down. So, yeah, it's predictable, but it can be good when you execute it. It's just all about that execution, which Zach Robinson still has to work on execution when it comes to his play calling. But anyways, last one. Which player stood out to you the most? Jake said Bijan still continues to amaze me with his ability to have defenders grabbing air and turning uninspired plays into huge gains. I mean, I think we saw the prime example of that when they snapped the ball and unintentionally to Bijan, almost like a wildcat type play, and he just darted. I think it was like a 15, 17-yard game, but he's a magician. He's the best running back in the league, argue with a wall. He's just that guy when it comes to making guys miss and turning nothing into something. So 100% spot on there. But let's take some questions from you guys. You guys shot your questions to me on the TikTok comments, and let's talk about it. All right. Zach Mazza. Should we be panicking about Zach Robinson just yet? Because I feel I might be. I want to say no. Like, there's no need to panic. Yes, he was here last year. We had to go through Kirk Cousins, and then we had a couple games of Michael Penix Jr. I want to say no, and I'm going to say no. But I don't blame you if you are panicking about Zach Robinson. So here was a quote from Bijan after the loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Our playbook got shorter, and we were trying to run other plays to out-scheme them. What? That can't happen. That can't happen. You can't shrink the playbook and start pulling stuff out of your butt just because your original game plan went to crap. If you're not able to run the ball, call some creative pass plays. Get out of the pistol. Take snaps under center. Take snaps in shotgun. Let's get more wide receiver motion. Fake a jet sweep. Hand off on the jet sweep. I mean, obviously, I'm not a coordinator. I didn't play high-level professional football, but I feel like you can't just sit back and be like, oh, we had to shrink our playbook because they were out-scheming us. How about you out-scheme them? How about you think ahead or at least make some halftime adjustments to out-scheme them? It'd be nice to see a Falcons coach one day sit back and say, yeah, I out-schemed them so hard that we were 2 steps ahead of them. That's just me, anyways. But, I mean, let's look at the pistol formation. The Falcons were in the, this is for the Tampa Bay game, that is. The Falcons were in the pistol formation for 42.9% of their total snaps. And they only averaged 2.2 yards per carry compared to the 5.6 yards per carry they had against Minnesota. So what changed? Is the Buccaneers' defensive line just that much better than the Minnesota Vikings defensive line? Or did Zach Robinson actually, take a shift and adjust and say, we're going to do this now instead of whatever the crap we tried against Tampa Bay was? So I do give Zach Robinson full credit on the running game for the Week 2 performance at Minnesota. He stuck to it, and there were a lot of great plays. I'm glad we got Tyler Algier heavily involved, and obviously Bijan Robinson was running wild out there. So maybe we let Penix throw more from the shotgun. I mean, I don't know what Zach Robinson could do to let Penix throw the ball. Maybe have some confidence in the guy, but you can't get out-coached and out-schemed like they did in the Tampa Bay game. Much better in the Minnesota game. So full credit to Zach Robinson in that game. That's why I'm not panicking just yet. I don't blame you if you are, though, simply because of the whole Michael Penix throwing the ball down the field situation. So I think I had some more deep dive on that. But speaking of deep dives, George Wilkerson said, we need a deep dive on Divine Diablo. Buddy, I got you. So through this season, he has an overall grade of 87.1 on PFF, which is 9th out of 111 linebackers. I mean, we can't really ask for much better. Like, I will say, being in the stadium Sunday night, you heard his name called a lot, and he was all over the place. But through 2 games this season, 8 solo tackles, 3 pressures, and those 3 pressures rank 8th. So this guy's just an animal on the field. He's running all over the place. Great pickup. Fantastic signing by the Atlanta Falcons. Just on Sunday Night Football alone, 4 solo tackles, 1 assisted, 2 defensive stops, a pass breakup, 0 yards surrendered in coverage, and a fumble recovery. He is him. He is so good. I hope that was a good deep dive on him. I mean, I don't think we really need to do a deep dive to know that this guy's a dog. He can ball. He's going to hit you. He's going to hit you hard. He's going to stuff you up the middle. And he's proven that. So absolutely fantastic performance from Divine Diablo. I mean, it doesn't get much better. It really just doesn't get much better. Felicia said, we going to be stressed out every other week. See, that's where you're wrong. I feel like we're going to be stressed out every week. Not because of the team's performance, but simply because we're Falcons fans. We're going to be stressed out every week. We don't have those 45-10 blowout wins like we see from the frickin' Buffalo Bills. Yeah, they did struggle against the Dolphins, but God, it would be nice to go out and win 45-10, wouldn't it? It's just nice to have those no-stress games. But that's just the life of an Atlanta sports fan, unfortunately. I mean, you can see I am a fan of all Atlanta sports, so the stress comes every single season, whether it's football, basketball, or baseball. Okay, we're moving on to Jake. What's up, Jake? Jake Morin says, what are your expectations for this season? I was concerned for the Falcons offense after watching them fail multiple times in the red zone against a banged-up Vikings defense. Well, number one, you can't have the red zone penalties. Red zone penalties can't happen. Obviously, like I mentioned, the first drive, the delay a game, that's just tough. You can't do that. You already took the timeout. You took the delay a game. That just can't happen. And then the play calling. I think it just goes back to the play calling. Why are we not throwing it up to Kyle Pitts and Drake London in the end zone? I think as soon as you get close to the 20-yard line, a minimum of a crosser over the middle of the field to Drake London, a minimum of an out route to the pylon, jump ball for Kyle Pitts. It almost makes you question, why aren't we just giving our guys a chance, especially Drake London and Kyle Pitts? So I think that all just comes down to essentially the red zone play calling. You have to give your guys a chance. You can't run it up the middle twice for 5 yards and then on 3rd and 5, obvious passing down in the red zone, and then have them rush 5 or 6, and then boom, you're scrambling, just throw a quick pass. Give your guys a chance on 1st and 2nd down. So that, I think, falls 100% back on the play calling from Zach Robinson, as well as just still having a young quarterback to, get the snap off. You don't need to take the delay. Let's get the snap off. Get the play call in. Obviously, that comes from Zach, and then Mike, go ahead and get that play off. But, Jake also said, seems that we aren't throwing the ball downfield as much as we did last year. This ties directly into another comment from Reese. Do you think the play calling is just short yardage to keep Penix comfortable since he's only started 5 games? So those 2 comments, shout out Jake, shout out Reese. I'm going to address that right here. You're spot on, and it's not even close. It's just really not even close that we're not throwing the ball down the field. As of week 2, Michael Penix Jr. has a deep pass rate, which is 10 or more yards in the air, of 6.3%. 6.3% of 10 or more air yards. That's terrible. It's horrible. I don't even want to look at that statistic. It makes me mad. We have Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod. I mean, good Lord. To make it even worse, in his 3 starts last year, 47.6% of the 10-plus air yards down the field. Are you freaking kidding me? It's almost like Zach Robinson was on a free trial, no purchase necessary run of having Michael Penix as his quarterback. And now that he's got him and he's having to, he's off of his free trial, he's taking a step back. What are we doing? Let's throw the ball down the field. That's the only thing that gets me a little bit fired up about the offense is we're acting like Michael Penix Jr. is some 20-year-old rookie. He ain't no J.J. McCarthy. Shots fired, I know. But let him throw the ball. Golly, man. I mean, he was airing it out in those 3 games that he started last year. But whatever. 47.6% in his 3 starts last year. 6.3% this year. Yeah, it's 2 games. And I'm going to make a bold prediction. Michael Penix Jr. has a touchdown pass of over 30 yards against the Panthers on Sunday. Quote me on that and come back when I'm right. Bold prediction. They're going to get their heads out of their butts when it comes to the play calling, and Penix is going to air one out. 30 or longer touchdown Penix. Book it. Whew. Anyways, in week 1, Penix was 23 of 30 on passes under 10 air yards, which, good. He needs to be. It's under 10 yards, complete the passes. Fantastic. 0 of 7 on throws over 15 yards. What are we doing? I know a lot of those were contested, and, you had the whole Hodge not looking in the end zone at the end there against Tampa. But, man, we got to get this long passing game going. And, honestly, I'm going to move on because I could talk about that for a long time. If I did, in any way, miss your comment or response on any of my videos, I do apologize. I will certainly get you on that next video. But I really did think I have everyone covered. That's going to be a fan favorite segment for a long time to come because I want to hear from you. This podcast is fueled by you. So keep those comments, questions, everything. Keep them coming into the TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you find me. Make sure you drop those comments. The full episodes are going to be uploaded to Spotify podcast and then YouTube as well for the video and the audio. And then I'll be uploading clips to TikTok Instagram, and Facebook. So I've got it all covered. I want to hear from you. Keep them coming in. Now, it's time for a new segment called Enemy Insight. And as much as it pains me to do this, Enemy Insight is where I talk to the opposing team's fans of our opponent for the upcoming week. So in this case, I won't say pleasure, I had the opportunity to speak to some Carolina Panthers fans, and I'm just joking around. I know one of these Panthers fans, so it's no disrespect, but I did have the time to ask some questions to some Panthers fans. I said, what are you most looking forward to about this matchup? Which Atlanta Falcons player scares you the most to face? Which Panthers player should the Falcons be most concerned with? Which player versus player matchup are you most excited to watch? And what's your final score prediction and why? So let's go ahead and get these Panthers fans' responses, kind of dive into what they have to say, and then I'll answer these questions, but obviously in reverse on the Falcons side of things. So Matt, who actually is from Charlotte, big-time Panthers fan, he is looking forward to how the offensive line looks without Robert Hunt and Austin Corbett, as well as coaching adjustments after the last 2 weeks and rookies potentially getting more playing time. So Robert Hunt's their right guard, Austin Corbett is their center. That alone should tell you the Falcons defense should wreak havoc once again, just like they did on Sunday Night Football against the Vikings. But it did appear that the Panthers started to kind of get things going in their game last week. So we really just have to contain Bryce Young. I don't know, man. I really don't know. But he said he was looking forward to the rookies getting more playing time. I mean, I think that's all you really can ask for in young guys. Same thing with the Falcons. I'm super excited for those rookies to get more and more playing time. Obviously, specifically the core 4 that we just drafted. So completely valid there. Kalos said, definitely looking forward to seeing the progress of Bryce. He started off shaky, but the second half of the Arizona game, Bryce was playing on an elite level. So pretty much what I just mentioned, we can't let Bryce Young throw for 300 yards. Heck, I would prefer it if we don't let Bryce Young throw for 200 yards, but keep him in check. Keep him in check. Last year's game in Carolina, 38-20 win. I want something like that. Maybe give up a little bit less points if the defense is truly legit. But yeah, I mean, Bryce has potential. I mean, we saw it firsthand in Mercedes-Benz Stadium last game of the regular season in a game that we had to win to win the division, as well as, of course, have the freaking Saints beat the Bucs, which should have never even counted on that, but it ended up not mattering. But we saw Bryce Young at his full potential, so let's not let that happen again. Said, which Falcons player scares you the most to face? Matt said, Bijan Robinson with Jesse Bates a close second. Bijan because our run defense is not good, and Bates because Bryce has a tendency to not see safeties, and especially not him. So, kind of plays into what I said earlier. Bijan's got to have a field day. He's got to have another 6 yards per carry type of day against the Panthers defense. He really does. And who wouldn't be scared of Jesse Bates? Are you kidding me? Man's terrifying. He's awesome. He should strike fear into every single offensive player, let alone quarterback, that he faces. But 100%, I agree. You should be scared of Bijan Robinson. I hope he has 200 yards from scrimmage on Sunday. I really do. Kalos said, no surprise, Bijan is something that will make or break this game. Our ability to stop the run has been a struggle. Like I said, Bijan really needs to have 200 yards from scrimmage in this game. And it also wouldn't hurt to get Tyler Algier his touches as well. Anyways, which Panthers player should the Falcons be most concerned with? To no surprise, Matt said Tet McMillan, especially if Terrell is out. Large receivers with good hands, he's a large receiver with good hands that defensive haven't been able to contain so far. I agree. The guy's a monster. I think he was easily my wide receiver 1 coming out of this rookie class. I think I had him a little bit higher rated than most people did on their draft boards, but I thought it was a great pick. Obviously, Panthers fans thought that they could have went with Jalen Walker at that pick, which thank you, Carolina, for not doing that. But I agree. Tet's a beast, and with Terrell likely being out since he's week to week, it's going to be up to Mike Hughes and and the guys, like good Lord, you got to stop him. You got to find a way to stop him. Obviously, that zone defense is going to be a big help, but can't have those laps in coverages like they did with Jay Jettas running over the middle of the field at the end of the first half in the Minnesota game. But Kalo said Tet will be a big asset. Panthers fans are saying he's a young Mike Evans. Chuba is another player to watch. He has great speed, agility, and breakaway. So obviously, no surprise, Tet McMillan, we got to stop him. Someone's got to cover him. Place a man with a safety over the top. Billy Bowman with some safety help, or Divine Diablo or Caden Ellis kind of dropping back. I don't know, man. I'm not a defensive coordinator. All I know is that this guy's good. Ted McMillan is a good player, and we kind of got to scheme for him. You got to scheme for him the same way you potentially had to scheme for Kelvin Benjamin back in the day. I really hope they don't have another Kelvin Benjamin, because that guy was tough to stop. I'm not going to lie. His rookie year and early on, obviously, he kind of faded out of the league, but you got a game plan for him. So hopefully Jeff Ulbrich has something up his sleeve, and let's hold him down. Obviously, Chuba, it's going to be up to the defensive line. Kind of got gashed against Tampa Bay in week 1. So this is something that I really, really, really would love to happen, is just stuff the run. Let's go out there and stuff the run. Kind of like they did against Minnesota, and let's keep improving on that. I don't want Chuba to have over 75 yards. Certainly not over 100, but we'll go from there. Which player versus player matchup are you most excited to watch? Matt said Jalen Walker versus Taylor Moton. Hometown boy seeking revenge versus newly extended veteran tackle. So, yeah, Taylor Moton's their right tackle. And obviously, Jalen Walker is the hometown guy that the Panthers passed on. And, of course, Jalen Walker is taking offense to, all the teams in front of him that did pass on him, specifically the Carolina Panthers. So, wouldn't it just be phenomenal if Jalen Walker got like 5 sacks? Wouldn't that just be awesome? I think all Falcons fans would just jump out of their seats and start like levitating or something. But that would be phenomenal. I'm looking forward to that matchup as well. Kalo said, whoever is guarding Tet and whoever J.C. Horn is guarding will be the matchups of the night. I can't disagree with that. I think Drake London versus J.C. Horn and Mike Hughes or Billy Bowman or whoever versus Ted, there's going to be intriguing matchups. I hope Drake London finds the end zone and Mike Hughes and Billy Bowman and whoever else we decide to throw on Ted end up locking him down in another statement win, just like last Sunday night. But I can't deny those will be some 2 intriguing matchups when it comes to wide receiver and quarterback. What is your final score prediction and why? Falcons versus Panthers. Matt says 34-27, Falcons victory. Panthers offense looked better at the end of last week's game, but the defense is not good and the Falcons should have little trouble scoring. Respect. I respect that. That's a high-scoring game, I will say. I don't know if it will be that high-scoring, but I really do hope the Falcons have little trouble scoring. They should score at will. There's no reason they shouldn't. Obviously, we could have said that about the Minnesota game, but it was just field goals instead of touchdowns. Let's turn those field goals into touchdowns. How about that? Let's do that on Sunday. Kalo said, I think Bryce shows up for our first home game. Like last year, it'll be a close game. I like Carolina 30-27. So obviously, result flipped. He has the Panthers winning 30-27 in another high-scoring game. Let's hope that doesn't happen. If we give up 30 to Carolina, I think it's time for some reevaluation. Even if you win, I think it's time for some reevaluation. So I disagree with that, as well as most people watching this video who are Falcons fans. But yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. And end of the story. Let me go through mine real quick, and we'll kind of get into some game picks and then the matchup breakdown with the Panthers. So I'm most looking forward to seeing Michael Penix ball out. Like, I just went on a whole rant about how he just doesn't throw the ball over 10 yards. And I'm not blaming Penix. It's just a combination of the play calling and different looks from the defense, whatever. I want Penix to throw for 250 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's what I'm looking most forward to. And I'm praying for it. Which Atlanta Falcons player, or in this case, which Carolina Panthers player scares you the most to face? I guess it would have to be Chuba Hubbard. I know I talked so highly of Tet just there, and he is a fantastic player, but just seeing what Bucky Irving and Rashad White did against the Falcons in week 1, you can't get gashed. Like, you can't have those gash runs where they're just hitting wide open gaps. So Chuba Hubbard is definitely the number one, I guess, scared moment for me as a Falcons fan. But I do trust the D-line. I trust the D-line a lot to get the job done and stuff him on a bunch of runs. Which Falcons player should the Panthers be most concerned with? You should be most concerned with Bijan Robinson. I mean, that's a 3 for 3 right there between the two Panthers fans and me. I mean, he's that guy. He's the best running back in the entire league and one of the best players in the entire league. No doubt about it, you should be concerned with him. I expect 200 scrimmage yards, 150 rushing, 50 receiving. I expect it. It's going to happen. Book it. Which player versus player matchup are you most excited to watch? And guys, feel free to answer these questions, in the comments, or just answer them out loud at home. I love the engagement. Like I said, everything I'm doing here is specifically targeted at you, and it's for you because you're the ones sending me in this content. I freaking love you guys. Player versus player matchup. I'm gonna go with. That's a tough one. But I'm gonna go with. I'll go with our receivers versus their secondary. Because, like I said, I want to focus on Michael Penix Jr. So, obviously, that J.C. Horn versus Drake London, Kyle Pitts versus, I don't know, their linebacker, whoever the heck they want to put on them, are receivers and tight ends versus their secondary and linebackers. Talking about airing the football out. I'm most looking forward to that because if Penix can get him the ball, I expect him to have a monster game. Like I said, 250 yards and 4 touchdowns. Let's freaking do it, Penix. But anyways, that's my most excited matchup. Obviously, there could be a lot of other individual matchups, but what's your final score prediction and why? So, last game of the season, obviously super duper high scoring, electric game. In Carolina, 38-20, Falcons win last season. I think we're somewhere in the middle there. I don't know if we're going to be putting up 38 to 40 points. The offense is still getting rolling. We have to let Penix ball. So I still think the Falcons will get up to 30 points. I'm gonna go with a 31-17 Atlanta Falcons victory. It's a little bit bold to give the Falcons 2 straight 14-plus point victories. I know. I've lived through the Falcons my entire life. I know how hard it is to win back-to-back games by 2 scores, especially the past 9 years. So, but I'm going to be bold. 31-17, Falcons get the win. So, simple as that. Nothing else to it. But let's jump into some NFL game picks. I'm basically just going to be predicting the entire slate of the NFL. Quick hitting picks. Stay tuned, and then we'll do the breakdown of the Falcons-Panthers game, and then we'll get out of here and call it a day. How about that for a first episode? It's been absolutely fantastic, and I'm loving every minute of it. What can I say? Anyways, let's get to it. Packers at the Browns. No thought here. Give me the Green Bay Packers 27-14. Colts at the Titans. People are saying the Titans could pull off the upset here. I did like what I saw in them versus the Rams, but give me the Colts here 20-17. Field goal victory for the Colts. Bengals at the Vikings. Falcons just played the Vikings, and speaking of Falcons, former Falcon Desmond Ridder is now the backup in Minnesota? Yeah, that's right, because he was with Cincinnati. But anyways, I like the Vikings at home. Low scoring game. I'm going to go with a 19-16 game. Vikings win over the Bengals. Steelers at Patriots. Tough one. Patriots, good home field advantage. I like what I've seen from them. However, Steelers on the road, 23-20. Another close game. Rams at the Eagles. Interesting that this is just a 1 o'clock game, but God, Eagles, I want them to lose so bad. I'm going to be so real with you. But Eagles at home, I think the Eagles do take this one by a score of, that's tough, I don't even know, 23-17. Another close one, shocker. Jets at the Buccaneers. I wish that I could just burn this game. The Jets are starting Tyrod Taylor. I mean, I hate to even do this, but the Buccaneers win this game 30-16 at home. Raiders at the Commanders. Intriguing game, but give me the Commanders at home. I think they take care of business 24-14. 14 over the Raiders. Texans at Jaguars, another divisional game. I picked the Jaguars to win the division. Pick's looking decent. I know the Colts are up there, but I think the Texans go to 0-3 here. Jaguars win this game 30-24. Broncos at the Chargers. Simple pick. Chargers at home. Give me the Chargers in a low-scoring one, 20-16 over the Broncos. Saints at the Seahawks. It gives me pleasure to pick against them and send the Saints to 0-3. Seahawks take care of business, 28-17 over the Saints. Cowboys at the Bears. I don't think the Bears start 0-3, but they will. Cowboys in a close one, 21-17. Cardinals at the Niners. I got to go with the home team here. 49ers, get it done, 24-23. Super close, nail-biting game. Chiefs at the Giants. Just what everybody wants to see, man. 2 0-2 teams on Sunday Night Football. All right. Can't wait for this one. And I am joking, by the way. But there's no way in heck. No way the Chiefs are starting 0-3. I loved what I saw from the Giants against the Cowboys last week, but Chiefs do win this game. And it's a statement win. 31-17. Chiefs win. And then arguably the game of the entire week, Monday Night Football. Lions at the Ravens. Lions at the Ravens. But before I talk about that, gotta mention, Jaden Ambergy. If the Chiefs go 0-3, they'll miss the playoffs. That's his first take. 100% agree. Second take, Ravens making a run for the big trophy. Don't know if I agree with that, but I think that they are my personal pick in the AFC at this very moment in time. So shout out Jaden for the commentary on the Chiefs and Ravens. I do agree. If the Chiefs go 0-3, they're not making the playoffs. They might not even win 7 games, to be honest with you. But Ravens, I can see it. Could this be a Super Bowl year for them? We say that almost every year, I guess, but I could see it. Anyways, Lions at Ravens, let's do it. Ravens at home, man. 30-26 over the Lions. Now, let's break down the numbers for your Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. So, taking a quick peek at this one, total yards per game, Atlanta ranks 10th in the NFL with 360 to go along with 198.5 passing yards and 143.5 rushing yards per game. Those rushing yards rank 4th best in the NFL, and I fully expect that number to go up after Sunday, as it literally should, because if it doesn't, that will be very disappointing. But a big killer for the Falcons has been their third down offense. They are only at 40% on third down conversions, which is 19th best in the NFL. That is 100% something that they have to work on. 100%. Panthers are at 43.3% on third down. That's 13th. So that's where that offense-defense third down matchup could be a huge factor. But, man, let's just take a look at these defensive stats real quick, because we got to cherish this as long as we can. 252 total yards given up per game. That's second best in the league. Passing yards, only 139.5 given up per game. That's second best in the league as well. And then rushing yards, 89.5. That's ninth best in the league. How often do you see the Falcons top 10 in defensive categories? Multiple defensive categories. Oh my goodness. I love it. I freaking love it. It's fantastic. I could talk about it all day. But third down percentage on defense, they're giving up 44%, which is 21st. Carolina's only giving up 38.1%, which is 13th. Like I just mentioned, third down. It's all about third down. If we're not going to be converting on offense, when the defense goes out there, we got to stop them on defense. You have to. So 44% given up, ranking 21st. The defense has been fantastic. The only thing that really needs improvement is that third down, though. It really just that third down. But I already did give my score prediction, but we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. 31-17 is my prediction if you didn't already book it. 31-17 Falcons win. Michael Penix Jr. praying and hoping for 250 yards and 4 touchdowns. Will that happen? I wouldn't bet on it. But, we'll see. I'll be there in attendance, just sitting in the upper level, row 2. But if you see me at the game in Charlotte, stop by, say hi. We'll talk. I'll get a statement or some comments from you, and I'll feature it in the next episode. Also, I do apologize for the audio quality, working with the AirPods now. However, I will have my microphone for the next episode and all future episodes. So Man, this was fun. This was really fun. I love how engaging every one of you guys were. The comments, the DMs, heck, even the trolls. Thanks for boosting the videos and thanks for following along. This podcast is 100% for you. So, of course, I'm going to listen to everything you have to say and everything you send me. So, keep it coming. I love it. I love you. Thanks for following along in this very first episode. There will be plenty more to come, as well as much more content going out on my social media. But this has been Dirty Bird Talk, and I'm Harrison. Rise up.